There's the light now, and we're ready to go. The gates are back here in the Everest. They're off and racing to the massive roar of the crowd. Giga kick going to Bella Nipotina. Bella's in front though. Bella Nipotina wins the Everest.
Kar-Ying rising. He's the Usain Bolt of the equine world.
Briasa goes to overpass. Briasa won the TJ. Jimmy Starr levels up. Jimmy takes the shot and won the All-Age Stakes.
Hello everyone, welcome to Trek to the Everest. After last week's show, we have two more horses into the field for the $20 million Tab Everest on October 18. Jolie Star and Lady Shenandoah have forced their way into the field. A market shortly. Headwall goes by the wayside, but we've got the shorts coming up on Saturday, which will tell us more of the story. Ray Thomas and Chantelle Buckley.
Yeah, look, the dominoes are starting to fall at last. 6 horses now into the race, 6 slots left. And Chantelle, I don't know where some of these sprinters are coming from. There are so many queuing up trying to get into the field. These slot holders have got a difficult task to fill their slot.
Well, I guess in a way they may be in a good position at the moment because there are quite a few emerging sprinters coming along and they're just sitting back waiting. We are getting closer and closer and we need these slots filled. But as I said, they may be the ones that, find themselves in a really good position sitting back waiting.
Let's go to the board where the slot holders sit, and Jolie Star goes in for the Chris Waller Racing team. Lady Shenandoah gets picked for Fairway Thoroughbreds. There would have been a few chasing Lady Shenandoah, but it's Fairway Thoroughbreds. John Camilleri, who owned Sunshine in Paris, lost her to the breeding barn. She has been retired, so he's acted fairly quickly to get her. Look at the ones available. Inglis, Newgate, Mulberry Racing we'll learn more about tonight, Coolmore, James Harron and Godolphin. Well, firstly, Headwall won't be there, Ray.
Bad luck for Matty Smith and Headwall's connections. The horse was flying. He won the Concord Stakes brilliantly first up. There were slot holders circling, so to speak, Greg, hoping to snap him up. He was going to run this weekend in the shorts, but he pulled up sore after track work last Saturday morning. It hadn't settled down by Monday. The horse went for scans, and very unfortunately for Matt and connections, the horse is out of the Everest, and bad luck because he was flying and he would have been in the field.
Shani, when Chris Waller told the press that Lady Shenandoah was being set on a sprinting path this spring, it was obvious that he was chasing the Everest.
Yes, and there were many, many people putting their hand up to take her, and well done to John for securing that slot. But we saw how brilliant she was first up. Everyone questioned it because we thought she was better over further, but she was so good first up. Arguably should have won, but looking forward to seeing her stretch out over that little bit further, that extra furlong come to the big day.
Another look at her unlucky run in the Concorde when James McDonald went everywhere looking for a run. The most impressive part is the fact that how close she got to the winner when she finally gets out. How dare she run this this horse Headwall to this margin?
Yeah, well, Headwall's come home in 32.55 and Lady Shenandoah's come home in 32.4 and change. A terrific run.
She wasn't entitled to do that, was she?
Get that close, yeah. No. Which just goes to show how sharp she is. And we often hear trainers say it, Chantelle, sometimes as horses get older, they get faster.
Yep.
And Lady Shenandoah could be in that bracket.
Yep, she's getting mature as well. She used to be a little difficult to handle, but she's getting a lot maturer. She's settling down now. She's starting to put it all together. So it's scary just how good she could possibly get.
Now, the talk after Saturday turned to the 3-year-olds. Ray, probably for the first time in this whole conversation, the 3-year-olds, and it was the run to the Rose leading into the Golden Rose, so now is the time we have to start talking seriously about the 3-year-olds, but tempted with Godolphin having a slot, put her hand up as a potential Everest runner, and they are not playing that down.
And Baywalk either, who ran second. Tempted was so good, wasn't she, in the run of the Rose? And that's an excellent point, Greg. Now we are looking at the 3-year-olds. And these two from Godolphin, one's obviously trained by Kieran Maher, that's the filly Tempted who streaks away. Baywalk holding on for second was very good for Chris Waller. Spoke to Andy Makiv, the boss of Godolphin Australia yesterday, Greg, and certainly those two 3-year-olds are in the mix. They'll more than likely go to the run to the Rose next week, and then decisions will be made.
Okay, what about a horse like Temptress? I know we've got a jump out here, a Mornington jump out from September 10, and we know what Temptress did in the lead up to the Golden Slipper. Unfortunately, didn't get there, but he's got that quality on his side, Shani. He could have been a big Golden Slipper player.
Absolutely, yes. It was a shame that he went amiss there, but I can't wait to see him back actually, because he was electric to come from where he did on that particular day and make up the ground he did. He's obviously got a well above average. He's got to come back now. We always say that about these 2-year-olds when they come back as 3-year-olds, but just going by the jump out there, he wasn't asked to do a great deal. I don't know how he's going at home, but he's certainly an exciting 3-year-old.
When I spoke to Andy yesterday, out of left field, he produced Tentress, because we haven't seen him since he won that Todman.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
Bayvark, I don't think Bayvark can get any better. Tempted can. She's got improvement, and then there's Tentress. So I feel like they know where they are with Bayvark. That's him now.
Yep.
He had the race to suit him. He had a run under his belt, and he still couldn't beat her.
Yeah, she's very good. Tentress, sorry, Greg, will go to the Danehill. First up on grand final weekend, long weekend. Now, he needs to run a blinder there because they're heading towards the Coolmore stud, but the mere fact that Andy Mackey put the Everest in that sentence just tells you how well he's going at home for Anthony and Sam Freedman.
Well, it wouldn't be without precedent. Didn't Giga Kick come through the Danehill?
100%. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Before we hear from Jason Walsh from Godolphin, who Greg Pritchard spoke to on the weekend, just on that run to the Rose, Woden, where does he sit for Coolmore?
Yeah, excellent run. He got home late again. He's a sort of horse that could be suited by an Everest. Yeah. You know, frenetic speed up front, lightly weighted 3-year-old. Just think of a Giga Kick or think of a yes chiming in late. I know he finds ways to get beaten, Greg, but
the track didn't suit him on
correct.
Saturday. You have
and
to
his
give
run
him
was excellent.
His run was phenomenal.
And
really.
he's come up. Both his runs this spring have been terrific. He's certainly on the radar for Coolmore. They'd love to pick their horse, and you'd have to say at the moment, he's probably their number one seed.
He's going to the 1400 Golden Rose. I've also heard, Channy, that he may be more of a miler.
They have mentioned that, exactly right. But in saying that, they could also freshen him and bring him back. We've seen that plenty of times before.
Off the Golden Rose, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. Which that may help him actually, sending him over that little bit further and then freshening up and bringing him back to the 6 furlongs.
Let's hear from Jason Walsh from Godolphin. This was straight after the win of Tempted, beating Bayvark in the run to the Rose.
Jason Walsh from Godolphin. Are you tempted to put Tempted in the Everest?
Yeah, look, it's definitely an option. Today was all about seeing her return. She's done that brilliantly, so definitely something we'll have to consider.
She must be at the top of the list, surely.
She's made it look that way today, definitely. Top-class juvenile. It's great to see her return that way, and she's an exciting daughter of Street Boss who, I'm sure she'll run well in whatever we set her for.
So you just want to see how she comes through the race and then make big decisions on a non-race day?
Definitely we'll be guided by Kieran and his team as to how she comes through, but we had talked about it as an option leading in, so she's done nothing to dispel that as an option.
She absolutely monstered them late, didn't she?
Yeah, she's top class and exciting filly for the whole team.
Okay, now we talk about Autumn Glow, but I think we're going to be talking more about the Epsom. Here's what Kerrin McEvoy had to say to Chantelle after the win of Autumn Glow on the weekend, comparing the Epsom and the Everest in Kerrin McEvoy's mind.
And she travelled ever so well and was up and ready to go on the corner. I just sort of got her mobile and probably hit the front early enough, but she's a star in the making, which is what we already know. Yeah.
I want to ask, should she step out to a mile or should they freshen her up and bring her back to possibly an Everest? What would you do?
Good question. I think she'll stay further, but she's got a motor as well, so I'm sure Chris and the team will make the right call, but probably a mile because then I might be a chance to ride her.
Okay, well, everyone was waiting for the weight, what Kerrin McEvoy's talking about there. 54.5 in the Epsom. Does that force them to go there now?
Yeah, I spoke to Chris Waller late yesterday and he said probably a touch more than they were hoping. Every trainer wants to get in a bit lighter than they get, but he said that she'll never get into a handicap with 54.5 again, so it seems the Epsom's now the path through maybe the King Charles III stakes as well, Chantelle, and obviously the Golden Eagle, but she looks like a horse who obviously 1400 to 1600 metres will be perfect. She gets stronger and stronger the further the races go, Chantelle.
She does. She's amazing, isn't she? Just the way that she executes herself in the race. You can put her basically anywhere. There's been talk that Kieran made several runs on her, stop start, but she finds a way. She's just got this real will to want to win. So I don't think whatever decision they make, wherever they go, she'll be hard to beat no matter what. She is a star.
What does the 54.5 mean for J-Mac?
It's in the ballpark, yeah. So I guess depends where he rides that day. It's also Turnbull Day, but there is 3 Group 1s at Randwick. You'd dare say they'd want him in Sydney. 54.5. Given
He's
a bit
ridden
of notice,
54.5, and if he has notice, I'm sure anyone would do it for
He doesn't have
to get on
to go on a
it.
crash diet, does he?
No,
He's just gotta-
I think he can ride 54. He'd have to work for it,
Yeah.
but he'd be definitely able to get
She's
there.
worth it.
Oh, you'd cut your right leg off, wouldn't you? Like just to ride her.
Okay, what are Newgate doing? Newgate with the slot. Here's Henry Field.
Yeah, we're just going to wait and watch and see. There's still plenty of nice horses that haven't resumed yet this preparation, so we just want to watch and see how they, how different horses resume. It's very open in my mind. It's a very open race when you take Carrying Rising out. So we're very open-minded to how we're going to play our slot.
Beedman was touted as a possibility, but where does that stand?
Well, he'll trial this week and he'll run in the Heritage Stakes first up, and we'll see how he runs there. He's a lovely, lovely horse. But his program at the moment is to go Heritage Stakes, Roman Consul. So that's more than likely his program. But again, keep an open mind. And I really feel that it's a year where we're trying to look at things a bit differently, and outside the square might pay dividends. And they're a lovely group of 3-year-olds that are outside of Beedman that I'm open-minded to. And I think it's going to be one of those years where you take the favourite out and anything can win.
Okay, I don't know what to make of that, because that's a smart play. Trying to think outside the square. Beedman, I've heard that Snowden says no, definitely not, but Henry's saying open mind. And they'd like to run one of their own, although they have won the Everest before, and that was with the proven thoroughbreds horse Think About It. Here is Sebastian Hutch, who were also English, interested in Lady Shenandoah. They've missed out on her. Here's Sebastian Hutch at the races on Saturday when Lady Shenandoah was still available.
I think we're like everybody else. We're watching closely. There seems to be a changing picture every Saturday. We'd like to try and put an English horse on our slot. We're in a position where there are a bunch of interesting candidates around at the moment. We've had a conversation with a number of different people, or we've had conversations with a number of different people, and we'll look to try and start to tidy things up over the next couple of weeks, I think. But as I said, the picture changes every Saturday, so keep me a very open mind about it.
Okay, they've got to go with an English graduate.
More than likely.
They're not going to go with a Magic Millions graduate.
Yeah. Unless they lease or sell their slot for a year.
That's right. Well, they've done that for the last 2 years with Trackside in New Zealand. Here's the market for the Everest as it sits, with Ka Ying Rising, the brilliant winner in Hong Kong first up. He's sitting there in quarantine, and he arrives on the 22nd of September. Private Harry will run in the shorts. Lady Shenandoah. Ray, just back to her. Where does she run? I thought they confirmed a start in the Manikato. Is it possible that could be off the tables now? She's got a slot. Could she run in the Premier?
It's a day after, so both options are, I think, still on the table. Manikato has been mentioned. The Premier, though, the following day probably saves an interstate trip, doesn't it, Greg? And she gets a look at Randwick and 2 weeks out from the Everest. So watching brief there once again.
Okay, we've been waiting for Briasa and Jimmy Starr to come back, and now they clash with Jolie Starr, who was scratched from the Shirako on Saturday to be saved for the shorts this Saturday at Royal Randwick. And here's the market for the shorts and how it's looking right now. Private Harry is $2.30. Private Harry was always $2.30, went up $2.30 and stays there. Briasa is unchanged at $3.50 in this all-in market. Jolie Starr went up $6, is now into $4.50. Astraka is 15 into 11. Generosity is a $15 chance. Mahuna, the Golden Slipper winner, is a $15 chance. And Jedi Beale, we'll talk about that horse later, galloped on Saturday at Rose Hill, a $26 chance. So it's 3 slot holders running in the shorts a month out from the Everest.
They then have the option to go to the Premier if they want to, and that's their second run potentially. Not sure if Jolie Starr would do the double, but we'll wait and see. But good to see 3 Everest slot holders right in the market clashing in the shorts, which has always been a pivotal and vital Everest lead-up.
Is there any talk about Mahuna?
There is. Look, I spoke to Michael Freeman late yesterday. He's going to have a think about it, see the barrier draw, etc. There is the Heritage Stakes next week, but she is absolutely flying. I'd love to see her in the shorts to see what that 3-year-old fillies mix could do, how she measures up to the older horses, and that will be really interesting going forward, particularly now Attempted has burst onto the scene, Greg.
Here's what Chris Waller had to say on the morning of the scratching of Jolie's Star to concentrate on the shorts.
Just talk us through the scratching of Jolie's Star this morning. You're going to save her for next week?
Yes, tougher race. No disrespect to those today, and next week it's going to be a really good race. But she hasn't had a lot of luck at Rose Hill, and just from her draw today, I thought there wasn't a lot of speed, and she could easily get caught 3 wide, which we wanted to avoid. And secondly, if she runs next week, she'll go straight to the Everest. 4 weeks between runs. Whereas she ran today, I'd be tempted to running her 2 weeks before in the Premier, which I don't really think she would have needed. So it's just a minority decision, but one that we're very comfortable with.
Okay. And Lady Shenandoah, everything's full steam ahead with her as well?
Yep, she'll run a couple of weeks in the Manikato at Moonee Valley.
Okay, that was from Saturday on Racing HQ. Michael, you wanted to know about Mahuna? Well, here's a quote from Michael Freedman at the races on Saturday about the Golden Slipper winner.
Yeah, very good trial. I thought she did a good job, sort of second trial up, and she's come through it really well, more importantly. So this stage we'll probably look at entering and accepting in the shorts next Saturday at Randwick. And then play it by ear from there. We're just sort of trying to pick our way towards potentially running her in the Coolmore as her grand final at Flemington.
So we're probably looking at a 3 or 4 race campaign?
Yeah, something like 2 runs into a Coolmore, so probably something around a 3 race program, and then give her a little break and come back again for the autumn.
Okay, also running in the shorts on Saturday will be Compelling Truth, who's already got a slot in the Kosciuszko, coming off a placing in Melbourne last start. Matt Griffiths obviously liking just that tough run.
I think it'll really toughen him up against our top class sprinters. I think it's a really good, astute idea to be running him in that type of race.
Let's just go back to that Concord again. We concentrate on Lady Shenandoah, but Ostraka ran really well, and Generosity, we need to see her again.
Well, she just had a track gallop.
That's her over in the blue with the black sleeves, over on the rails, going nowhere.
Yeah, don't dismiss Ostraka. He's run a great race. And what about Tiger Shark? Tiger Shark's sectionals were incredible. Trained by Clayton Douglas, of course, who trained Giga Kick. So look at Generosity, Greg, going to the line half pace. Just didn't get any clear galloping room. So those 3 are in the mix. In Flight ran 6th that day, and probably she might need a wet track to...
She would be better. She'd be definitely better with a bit of give out on the ground. I don't think she's going to get that this week either.
You like Tiger Shark, you can have 50 to 1 in the shorts right now.
I saw the prices, and because her run was excellent. Her sectional was actually better than Jimmy Star. So look, I know it'd be a huge surprise if she won the race, but on the evidence of that Concord run, she's not out of it.
Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to turn our attention to the newest slot owner, Mulberry Racing. Lachlan Sheridan is going to join us on Trek to the Everest.
My mind set on you. I got my mind set on you. Got my mind set on you. But it's gonna take money. A whole lot of spending money. It's gonna take plenty of money to do it right, child.
Jedi Beale, a fast winner of the Challenge Stakes, was due to return in the Concord at Randwick, but was scratched with an issue. We saw Jedi Beale gallop between races at Rose Hill on Saturday, and Greg Pritchard caught up with trainer Brad Widdup.
Oh, look, it was just a tick-over gallop. Wanted to get him away from home and just do a little bit of work. Obviously missed last start, so I didn't want to go to the trials again. I really couldn't. I sort of had to just back off him, get him right, and then not start again, but just tick him over again. So it was a nice little hit out today. I'll probably need to do a little bit more during the week, and then hopefully he can acquit himself well next week.
that's in the shorts, and Mulberry Racing still ideally want to take this horse to the Everest if it's going well?
Well, look, that was the plan, but, they don't want to take a horse to the Everest and make a gimmick of it either. So, look, he has to be in form and has to get his way there. So, they're obviously open to what's around, and he's not locked in by all means. So, he's got to win his way or be competing well to earn a slot.
Well, let's talk about the ownership group of Jedi Beale, and that is Mulberry Racing. Now, when the Star gave up their slot in the Everest, it became available for sale, and Mulberry Racing took up that option over a 3-year deal. Let's find out who Mulberry Racing is with Lachlan Sheridan, a grandson of Michael Gregg. Lachlan, thanks for your time. That is the opening question. What is Mulberry Racing?
Yeah, no, definitely a question a lot of people have been asking. We're fairly new. We only started in late 2023, and our oldest horses are 3-year-olds, bar a couple that race in the same colours with Brad. We're built on using as much data and technology as we can, essentially, to identify yearlings, to pick our horses, to train our horses, and give ourselves the best opportunity to get those elite runners.
So, your grandfather Michael Gregg, was it his idea to get involved in racing, and how did that come about?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he's always enjoyed racing for a long time, and I believe it was like 2019. He kind of wanted to get more involved, I guess, with ownership and racing horses. And so he went looking for a trainer, and he came across Brad and looked into his stats and his training style and set up a call, and it's history from there, I guess. He started with one horse and another who turned out to be Jedi Beale. Then we had a few more, and then Mulberry started there. He kind of, I guess, he wanted to identify a smarter way to pick horses and train horses, and see if we can give ourselves, the best chance at success that way.
Lachlan, on that theme, I find it fascinating because your grandfather, as you said, worked in the data-driven technologies type logistics industry, and applying those principles to horse racing, which has been around for 400 or 500 years. A lot of people do things the way they've done them for centuries, but you're applying a totally different modern scientific approach to not only yearling selections, but also, as you mentioned, selecting your trainer and how also you train your racehorses.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's kind of taken over technology, I guess, and data in a lot of other fields. The sectors obviously Michael worked in, but kind of every walk of life, I guess, these days is kind of revolves around technology a lot. And so we kind of thought, well, if it's made its way into every other path of life, surely we can use it in horse racing to better our chances of success.
Lachlan, explain to us, what is driven data?
Well, it's more just, the data drives our decisions, I guess. We like to look at, multiple different technologies to, all the way from our yearling selection process, so defining our shortlists, and then helping Brad with his, physical selection process, all the way to training. We use a lot of technology with, not just on track, but also treadmills, lactate tests, heart rate recovery, all that kind of stuff, and then looking at form and stuff like that. We like to utilise it in every kind of facet we can.
Well, there was a bloke a few hundred years ago called Federico Tessio in Italy who was trying to do what you're doing with much less technology, and that was the inspiration behind the name Mulberry.
Yeah, it was. He was a famous Italian breeder and trainer. He obviously probably had more technology limitations, I guess, than we do back in those days. But it was I guess it was the same ideas. He was trying to do his own little mini revolution back in those days. His farm that he bought and turned into a horse stud and training setup was a Mulberry farm. And someone suggested the name, and it just kind of stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think he bred the great Rebo, Greg, one of the all-time great racehorses. Well, there's a bit of the Australian background as well in Mulberry, because the racing colours go to our national sport, Lachlan. Yeah.
Yeah. Look. I think we're Australian based, and we're actually we've got horses in America, so I guess we're trying to fly those flags over there as well. We just came back from the Keeneland sales, actually, myself and Brad. We've got a couple of horses over there that look really nice. So we're trying to fly the flag overseas as well.
So you're the racing manager for Mulberry. What are your intentions later on? Did you have any racing knowledge, any background with horses or anything? And what are your ambitions?
Well, I didn't grow up into horses at all, really. I kind of got into horse racing and enjoyed watching horse racing and going to the races and stuff in my late teens. And then, this kind of started I guess we had Jetterbill, but the company started in late 2023. And my kind of interest in it evolved from there quite rapidly. I even started working in the stables at Brad's, actually, digging out boxes, doing all the fun stuff, leading horses, saddling horses, all that kind of stuff. I just kind of got smothered by the industry and just loved it. So it's been great to me, and hopefully going forward, obviously we've got a lot of horses, and our intentions are to keep going, and hopefully acquire another batch of great yearlings next year. So down the line, I'm sure we'll be getting into breeding and all sorts, and just kind of evolving our training as well from there.
What property are we watching here?
Yeah, so we acquired a property only 5 or 10 minutes from Brad's stables recently. We call it Fernley. We currently use it for spelling horses. Just gives us a better look of our horses. We get to monitor them closely, how they're doing, and then later on, we're already in the process of starting up pre-training setups. So a water walker down there, treadmills, a hypoxia chamber with a treadmill, so altitude training, deep sand track. Trying to just gain those 1% advantages, give us the best chance of success with our horses.
So how many numbers have you got now in Australia?
In Australia, we've got about 50. About 50, yeah.
A lot of them babies and 2-year-olds. When I say babies,
Yeah, we've got one yearling now. We've got a bit under 20 horses that have just turned 2, and then we've got a bit over 20 3-year-olds now. So most of them are actually unraced. We're a very, very young stable still. But I think, we're kind of backing ourselves to, with our ambitions and the horses we see coming through, we're kind of backing ourselves to have those elite runners in the years to come.
And why Brad Witter?
Well, like I mentioned before, when Mike wanted to get kind of more involved in racing, he reached out to Brad and had a conversation with him. And he felt as though he was the best fit. He kind of wanted a trainer that he could talk to, and a trainer that shared the same values on horse welfare and exploring those 1% advantages. to try and get the best success. And it's been great, honestly. It's been really good. I get along great with everybody at the stable. So does everyone at Mulberry. And I think it's really a key factor in hopefully our success in years to come.
And what about your involvement in the US? Why are you involved in racing in the US? You found a trainer over there, Brendan Walsh, who's a very accomplished trainer, a Kentucky Oaks winning trainer, a Breeders' Cup winning trainer. He hasn't been around for forever. He's relatively young, but a wily Irishman. Where did that start?
Yeah, well, we wanted to get involved in the US. We saw an opportunity to use the skills, I guess, and the resources that we use over here, and use them in the apply them to the US scene, and hopefully, use a smarter way of thinking over there as well. This suggestion was thrown around, and we kind of went, yeah, sure, we'll go for it. And then it came down to picking a trainer, and we weighed up a couple of different options, and we're a young organisation as it is. A lot of the members of the company are very young. I myself, I'm only 24. And we met with Brendan over there, and he just seemed great. He seemed like a pretty natural fit for our organisation. And we went with it, and we saw him a lot this year when we just went over, and we think he's doing great with our horses, and we're very happy over there. Yeah.
Lachlan, you mentioned earlier you went to the Keeneland sales. You purchased a yearling out of Lady Aurelia, and many of our viewers will remember her as being a brilliant winner at Royal Ascot. Is she going to race in America, or could she come out to Australia and be trained by Brad?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, just touching on the sale, I think we got pretty lucky, because the quality of sale over there, obviously with the tax benefits that they've got for owners and buyers, it was a very, very hot sale, especially book 1 and 2. And I think we got in a bit early, only lot 8, and caught some people out. We had to pay a bit, but in comparison to some of the other horses, we didn't pay probably as much as we should have for a dual, for a colt out of a dual Group 1 winner. So I think we did pretty well. In terms of the training, he'll be trained over there by Brendan Walsh for the time being. Obviously, in the long term, we're based in Australia. We'd love to bring the horses over here eventually. When that time is, probably depends on the horse and the situation. But we definitely love one of our American horses to compete over here in the Mulberry colours in Australia, and potentially even in races like the Everest. That'd be great.
That would be fantastic. What about the Everest itself, Lachlan, and the decision to invest in the race as a slot holder? What appealed to you and your grandfather about this concept?
Yeah, well, the Everest is, as an event, as a race, has become, probably, one of, if not the premier sprint race in the world. We saw the opportunity, the slot became available, the expression of interest opened up, and we had a little internal discussion about it. And we thought, we think the horses that we're acquiring and that are coming through, the young horses for years to come, we're backing ourselves to have some really nice quality horses in the coming years. And we thought, well, let's back ourselves and try and acquire this slot and see what we can do, and try and, bring some of our appeal to that race.
Okay, and it's not all about money. When Racing New South Wales go to tender, it's not just a monetary figure. They want you to come to them to say, what else can you add to the race, or what else can you add to racing in general? So what was your pitch?
Well, look, we're a very young organisation, and I think the Everest is a very young race. It appeals to the youth as well. We have, reach in different industries, and different demographics, and we think we can, hopefully bring a new demographic and multiple new industries into racing and show them the joys that we experience ourselves in racing.
Tell me a little bit about Sheridan, because we haven't really spoken about him. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but was he the third horse that Brad had purchased for you guys? And the limit was about 150 and Brad spent a little bit more, is that right?
Yeah, I think he was only the second horse that we actually bought with Brad, and yeah, the limit was 150. We've gone a bit up since then in the past few years, but the limit was only 150. But Brad loved the horse. He loved the horse at the sales. It was bred by Waikato and consigned by Cannon Hayes, I believe, at the Classic sale. Interestingly enough, Brad's only bought, up until this year where we bought another one, he's only bought 2 horses bred by Waikato, and that's Sheridan and Ice Bath, so he's got a pretty good strike rate there. But yeah, he loved the horse, and he went a little bit over, but he convinced Mike that this horse was going to be, he had the ability, and Brad's eyes weren't wrong. He definitely had a bit of ability.
And he's a great looker too, so he had a great eye for the horse there. Tell me, if not Sheridan, who else could potentially be on your list at the moment?
Oh, look, we're definitely looking at all possible options. It's a big one for 3-year-olds. It's a big race for 3-year-olds. We're definitely looking at some hot 3-year-olds to try and send some feelers out too. But we're looking at all possible options really. We want the best horse in that slot. Obviously we'd love a horse racing in our colours, not just this year but in years to come. But for this year it'd be great. We do need to see on Saturday how he comes back, how strong he has. I saw him gallop this morning. He looks great. He's come over that slight niggle that he had before the Concord. He's come over that fine, and he looks great. And he's moving great. So hopefully we can see him come back better on Saturday. But we want the best horse in the race, so we're definitely looking at all options.
Does he need to win on Saturday for you to pick him?
Look, I don't think so. I think it's a very strong race. You've got 3 horses there nommed that already have slots in the Everest. So I think all we want to see is him to show that ability. Look, obviously, if he comes out and he's disappointing, which we don't want to see and we don't think is going to happen, but if he comes out and he's disappointing, then obviously we're going to look at other options because we want the best horse in the race. But I think he's come back great, and I think it'd be great to have the horse race in our slot.
Lachlan, thanks for joining us. It's been fascinating talking to you and learning about the Mulberry story. Good luck with Jedi Beale and good luck in this venture, because it is exciting to have a new name, a new enterprise going full ball into the racing industry. So all the very best.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
There's Lachlan Sheridan. So we know more about Mulberry racing now, and they're not sold that Jedi Beale is going to be their horse, and I don't think Brad Widdup's ever been under the illusion that Jedi Beale is an Everest horse until he really proves himself.
Yeah, true, and I found that fascinating listening to him, because they're applying totally different principles to a very old industry.
Yeah, times are changing now. They're evolving with all this technology and
exactly. And the other thing I gleaned from that, they're going to be a major investor in Sydney, New South Wales and Australian racing for many, many years to come. And interesting also that they raised the 3-year-olds. They're looking very closely at those young sprinters, Chantelle.
Very interesting.
And I think, you pick one horse that they've bought out of that sale by Quality Road out of Lady Aurelia. It's bred to be an Everest horse.
Well,
Lady Aurelia was
flying machine.
She's something of an anomaly over there in America. She was a superstar on turf.
Yeah, Wesley Ward took her to Royal Ascot. She won by 7. So imagine, wouldn't it be fantastic if that colt ended up in an Everest in a year or two?
Just looking at the footage of that colt, wow, what a cracking colt.
Yep.
So they basically said they got a bargain. Wouldn't it be nice to see him out here one day?
They all want the dirt, gallopers over there. They wanted to win a Kentucky Derby. But Wesley Ward has been the king of 2-year-old racing and also turf racing as well, along with Chad Brown.
Ascot.
Yeah.
Wesley, yeah.
A break and then Ben Dorries to have a look at some news from north of the border. Okay, let's go up to Ben Dorries now from RaceNet with some Everest news for the second year in a row. Ben, the Waller Racing Syndicate have gone with Jolie Star.
Yeah, they have, Greg. Now, we flagged this on the show a few weeks ago. Probably took a little bit longer than I thought, actually, for it to be signed, sealed and delivered, but there it was last week. No huge surprise, I've probably got to say, but look, I spoke to Sir Brendan Lindsay, who's the boss of Cambridge Stud and obviously the owner of Jolie Star, and he said, look, she's a 3-time Group 1 winner. Can she win? Yes, of course she can. He said, look, she will need some luck, but she just does not know how to run a bad race. She was very unlucky, he felt, last year. And he said, look, racing is a great leveller. He pointed out that Probabeel, who was a former superstar for Cambridge Stud, won the Might and Power Stakes, the Group 1 Might and Power Stakes in Melbourne. I think it was in 2021. And on that day, Zaki, I think the bookies actually, the tab paid out early on Zaki, who I think went around $1.28, and Probabeel bobbed up and spoiled the party. So he said he's been around racing a long time, Sir Brendan Lindsay, and he said, if nothing else, Jolie Star will give her best. To me, guys, I don't know, $13, I know she doesn't want it wet, Jolie Star, but $13 seems a little bit overs to me. Maybe her feature in the Brisbane Winter Carnival where she won a Group 1 in fabulous fashion are fresh in my mind, but I reckon she's in the Everest up to her ears. And as Brendan Lindsay pointed out, she doesn't know there's a Hong Kong superstar in the race. All she knows is how to run well.
And for the third time in Everest history, the Whitby, Werrett and colleagues have gone with a runner with Team Hawkes. Twice with Masked Crusader, now with Briasa.
Yeah, that's right, Greg, but and they swooped pretty early, didn't they? But there's actually a fascinating backstory here. I spoke to Max Whitby today, who we know well. He's a great friend of the show, a bit of a raconteur. And he said to me, the 2024 Everest, they had Private Eye run in their slot. I think Private Eye ran 6th. The following day, the Sunday, Ka Ying Rising, who at that time, you know, was known but wasn't hugely well known around the place, ran in Hong Kong. And he said his phone started flashing on the Sunday night, and it was Zach Purton, who he's known for 20 years, saying, Max, this is your Everest horse for 2025. Jump on board now. This is your Everest horse. So Max was in a bit of a flap. Like he just literally 24 hours earlier been at the Everest and was recovering from that and thought, wow, it's too early to start thinking about the 2025 Everest. So he sort of half put it on the back burner, watched a few replays, but they actually got pretty serious about trying to get the Hong Kong horse. But Max, in his own words, said the old mates act with Zach and I, he said we couldn't quite get the job done. There were some pretty heavy hitters at the Hong Kong Jockey Club and all over the place sorting out Everest deals, so they realised they couldn't get that horse. But they were more than happy to jump in with Briasa, and we'll see Briasa obviously first up in the shorts on the weekend. And in Max's own words, I asked him what the camp thought of Briasa's prospects on the weekend, and he said very succinctly, I think we will win. He said that the camp is very, very confident, and there he is, another grey flash in the Everest.
All right, well, Briasa, the shorts on Saturday. What about the Kosciuszko to be run on Everest Day? You had a winner there at Doomben on Saturday for Matt Dunn. He's already got 2 in the race, but there's 1 slot left.
Yeah, he's a bit greedy, isn't he, Matt? He's got 2. He's got Without Parallel and Golden Decade already in the race. But Zelgaria, there was a very, very strong Class 6 at Doomben last Saturday, and Zelgaria here on the fence under Andrew Mallion sliced through the pack And this horse is a half-brother to Politeness, who I think won a Group 1 Maya Classic back in the day. Quite lightly raced for his age. Matt said it's always been the plan to try to get this horse to the Kosciuszko. And as we can see, there's a short price favourite in this race. Zelgaria went out here at quite attractive odds. I think it was $21 or something of the like. So Matt Dunn is furiously ringing around trying to get this horse a slot in the Kosciuszko. And from what we saw there, he probably wouldn't be out of place.
Benny, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to you next week. There's Ben Dorries. We'll come back, and speaking of the Kosciuszko, we'll have more news on the Kosci after this. Fangirl's back in Sydney. She ran in the Memsie, but she'll run in the 7 Stakes on Saturday on the road to the King Charles. Here's the King Charles market after the weekend, after the Mackay Diva Stakes, and we had Mr Brightside firming to $4.50. Fangirl is also $4.50. We don't expect Autumn Glow to be there. She's an Epsom bound, maybe, hopefully, Golden Eagle bound.
Most likely, yep.
Chawolf, Gringotts and Other World. It's shaping up as a very good King Charles. Here's the 7 Stakes on Saturday, which is the old George Main Stakes. Weight for age a mile, 2 weeks out from the Epsom, which is normally a big guide to that race, but it seems like a lot of these have their eyes on the King Charles. The 7 Stakes has Fangirl at 280 in front of Chawolf, Gringotts and Private Eye. It's going to be a great race. Kieran Maher's going to have Gringotts and Light Infantry Man. Greg Pritchard caught up with Kieran.
Kieran Maher, Gringotts going to the 7 Stakes next week, ideally on the road to the King Charles.
Yeah, he'll take good improvement out of his first up run. He had a trial during the week. And he'll strip a bit fitter, and out to the mile will suit as well.
Won't be your only runner in that race?
No, Light Infantry Man as well. He's probably en route to a Hill Stakes and might end up in a Cox Plate, but he'll improve. He was a bit fresh the other day.
Adrian Bott with at least 2 runners in the race.
Adrian Bott, a couple of your stars going around next Saturday at Randwick. Royal Patronage, possibly the 7 Stakes?
Yeah, he's going to be first up this preparation, so whether we stretch him to that trip first up for us yet, there's the option to look at the Bill Ritchie as well, but he'd be carrying a bit of weight there, so a few things to weigh up. May also be nominated for the Sir Rupert Clarke Stakes in Melbourne, so a few options for him, multiple nominations. We'll just see how he works early in the week.
And it's going to be very interesting to see how Vauban goes around in the Kingston Town Stakes.
Yeah, look, I thought it was an excellent performance from him first up. Wasn't expecting a great deal over the mile, but I think he's in really good order. I think we saw that from his first up run, and no doubt going to be much better suited getting out to the 2,000 metres. So he's open to some good improvement, and looks set for a nice campaign.
Still on the 7 Stakes, here's Joe Pride.
Joe Pride, you'll have a very significant double-pronged attack in the 7 Stakes with Chawolf and Private Eye.
Yeah, you probably never want to see your 2 best horses clashing, but in a race worth a bit of money, I think it's worth it, and it's the right assignment for them both at the end of the day. So both Epsom winners, and really looking forward to next week with them.
What sort of runs are you expecting?
Good, because they're very good horses. I don't know how big the field will be on Saturday, but I'd expect them both to be in the finish. They're both in great order, both had a couple of runs back. Plenty of ticks there, and been really pleased with them.
Now to the Kosciuszko. Here are the ticket winners and the horses that have already been selected for the $2 million Kosciuszko. There are 13 horses selected. There is 1 still to go. Here's the market for the Kosciuszko. Front page is going for his 4th run in the race, and his record in the Kosciuszko reads win, second.
Phenomenal.
Here's the market. He's still favourite, and that is front page. But to Clear Thinking and Gallant Star, who have also been selected. Let's hear from Paul Massara on Clear Thinking and also Brett Robb on Gallant Star.
Favourites for the Kosciuszko and of course one of the first few into the race. What's the preparation going to be from here?
She trials again this week, coming at Muswellbrook, and then we'll take it from there. I think we'll be going to the race fresh first up. She's got a great first up record, and I think the way the weight scale is, that'll advantage her the most.
What's the path to the race look like from here?
Yeah, look, he jumped out at Dubbo the other day on the course proper. Yeah, look, he went good. He went come back super. He'll have his first trial on the 22nd at Narromine over 800 metres, and then have his third trial at Dubbo on the 3rd of October. And hopefully have him fit enough by then to go into the race first up.
And that's a different approach to previous years, but you're looking to make the horse as competitive as possible over 1200, and he's come back sharp in previous campaigns.
Yeah. So look, we've gone into it second up before, and look, obviously he's a horse that's looking to go over a bit further. So we're trying to go into get him fit enough, but fresh enough, and try and have him right for 1200 first up.
So Ray and Sandy, we had a busy week with 2 more horse added to the field. We're a month out on Saturday, and we're only 3 weeks from the barrier draw. So all these slot holders can say we're just taking it time. We're
running out.
We're looking at all options. The options are going to run out very soon.
The clock's ticking, isn't it?
It's ticking very, very quickly. It's surprising to hear that it's only three weeks to the barrier draws, which is incredible, isn't it?
We've got more coming up on Saturday with the shorts, a big lead up to the Everest, and you'll see it all here on Sky Thoroughbred Central.
Now we're ready to go. The gates are back here in the Everest. They're off and racing to the massive roar of the crowd. Giga kick going to Bella Nipotina. Bella's in front though. Bella Nipotina wins the Everest.
Ying rising. He's the Usain Bolt of the equine world.
Briasa goes to overpass. Briasa won the TJ. Jimmy Star levels up. Jimmy takes the shot and won the All-Age Stakes.